Hi and welcome back to Sir Finley Gaming Channel. On today's video we're going to be discussing Anthem, EA's Destiny and Warframe clone. It had a demo this weekend, VIP demo for people that have pre-ordered the game, and you got to play a few missions and a stronghold and some free roam, and I'll just be discussing how I like the game and say if you should pre-order the game or check it out in the future. So what did I like about the demo? I really like the fact that you could play all four of the javelins during the demo, and they all had really different play styles. I thought that was really cool. I mean, there was four types of javelins, and it really did make you feel like you were like Iron Man, like flying about. There was like the Ranger, which was like an all-round class that used like assault rifles and sniper rifles, and it could fly around for a medium amount of time, and it had about a medium speed. Then you had the Colossus, which was this really heavy hitter. You could have like a big shield, you could have like a siege cannon, and you could have heavy like bolters, flamethrowers, things like that. It couldn't fly much, it was really slow, but it was a real heavy hitter. It was basically your tank. Then you had like the Storm variant, which was basically like your magic user. It could hover for a long time over the battlefield, so and rain down death, so it could keep out the way. And then you had like the Interceptor, which was your fast double jump in. It could fly around the map really fast, do somersaults, doing like melee attacks predominantly. So that's what I really enjoyed. I thought the verticality and movement of the javelins was absolutely amazing, and it was the main selling point of the game. It made you feel like Iron Man, made you feel like Superman, flying about, hovering, jumping, and then slamming down on the floor and making a massive racket. It felt impactful. It felt like you were in this huge mech suit, and the game is tailored towards the mechs, the javelins. So the bosses, you can like outflank them. I mean, I really enjoyed like the stronghold. Stronghold is basically like a dungeon or a strike in Destiny. It had like a series of small mini bosses, and then it had this big boss at the end, which was like a bug, which had like this like weak like point at the back that you could fly around and shoot it in the back. So you had to, like, some people like the Colossus would be at the front taking the damage and shooting at the front, and where the faster mechs got round the back and shot the weak points with like sniper rifles and things like that. So I really enjoy like how the gameplay and the gunplay is tailored towards using these javelins. So it is really cool. Definitely. The missions I quite liked. We did 2 missions. There's some quite humorous people in it. I don't really understand the story at the moment, but there is cutscenes. The writing's quite good, and it seems like because it's going to be a Bioware game, they're going to be focusing on the story. So with some funny characters, there's basically like this hub world, which is basically your like stronghold where you can go back to after you do missions, like this last bastion on Earth. And it kind of feels like, it reminds me a bit like Normandy, where you can walk around, talk to people, collect missions, get to know people, and then you jump into Javelin and then you go do missions outside. So that's kind of as distinct. You got your single player inside that hub world, and then outside you got your multiplayer areas. That could break up the immersion if you got like a group of 4 people doing missions outside and then having to return to the hub world to get your next missions. It could break up the gameplay a bit, so I'm not sure I like that too much, but I do like Mass Effect storytelling, so we'll have to wait and see. Fortunately, some of the characters are a bit bland. There was this like woman mechanic who was just like nagging you every time you came back. from your mission, and like saying you busted your mech up, and so you had to like compliment her and say how good she was at fixing your mech, and it just felt a bit bland and a bit forced and just real bad dialogue. So I might be skipping a lot of the talking inside the hub world if it continues to be a bit like that. But the main story missions were quite fun and interesting, and with the people, there was this guy who, like, you brought back this piece of technology and they split into into three characters. It like duplicated him, and it was pretty funny because you had like this real arrogant guy, and then you had this really like bland guy who was just like wouldn't say boo to a goose, and he was like, and then you had this middle guy who's trying to keep those two from fighting. It was pretty funny, to be honest. But the problem with the hub world is that the frame rate was so slow in it. You compared to you like flying about outside in the multiplayer area, and then you go into town and you can't even run. It's just a bit weird. It's jarring. They're better. It's like walking through treacle or something. So I do need to definitely sort that out. But I liked what I saw in the demo. But there was some problems. For one, the demo was basically just like a slice of the game, and you started like level 10, so it wasn't starting at the beginning, and it was done on like a 6-month-old build of the game. So like all the economy, the weapons, some of the verticality and stuff like that, balancing is all going to be changed. It felt weird why they're 2 weeks before the game's coming out, you're being given a really old build to play. It just seems really suspicious why they can't just give you a beta and then you can play the actual game that you're actually going to be playing at launch. It does seem strange that you're playing this build. I feel like maybe the game isn't up to par, or they're trying to hide something. I've also seen in the UK that on the PC you can and on the Xbox you can get the game on pre-order for 30 quid at the moment, just before the beta, and I just feel like with this price drop it might actually be, maybe the game isn't as good as what you think. I would definitely be on your guard, definitely. I have to say this, even though it is a demo and things do go wrong, the connectivity was shocking in the demo. I mean, I couldn't log in on the Xbox on Friday or Saturday. I haven't looked on Sunday today, but the connectivity is, you can't log in, they haven't got enough servers. When you do log in and you load up a mission, you go on this infinite loading screen where it gets to about 95% and then just stops, and you can't log in, so you have to log out, and then you have to do it about 8 times until you're able to log in and actually do a mission. The connectivity is better on the PC. Generally you get in first time and you're able to do your missions, but it's unacceptable, especially when people pre-ordered the game just to play this demo and want to get on and play with their friends. And having not being able to connect for hours on end is absolutely shocking. Also, I would say that some of the missions, what you're actually doing in the game, are quite bland and generic. I know it's like you're supposed to be just killing things, collecting things, putting things here. It does feel, missions do feel a bit dull at the moment. Hopefully they do flesh it out and give it a bit of meaning and make it more impactful, definitely. Also, I would say that the gunplay isn't as good as Destiny. With Destiny, with like the exotics and your rares and your legendaries, when you fire a gun, it feels impactful. It feels like they nailed the combat. That is Bungie. Bungie are superb at shooting games, and with the lack of content and the problems with some of the microtransactions and things like that, the only thing they've got good going in that game is they've nailed the gunplay. Compared to Anthem, the Anthem, it is a bit generic. It feels a bit generic. Some of the guns are a bit like pea shooters, they feel like, especially some of the pistols. When you play the Colossus, I quite like the flamethrower and the bolter, like siege gun thing. That's really cool. You feel like you're mowing through these bugs that are charging you, and it does feel pretty awesome, to be honest. But I don't think it's as good as Destiny. They're going to be relying on that, on the verticality and the movement of that mech suit. So you're going to, hopefully the missions are quite tailored towards that mech suit. Maybe you have to fly to different areas to overreach different bosses, exploit their weaknesses using the mech suit. So I'm really hoping they do something like that. Also, they have confirmed that there won't be any PvP in the game, which I think is a good thing in regards to the fact that these mech suits, when you're flying about, I mean, I don't really know how you could balance it to a PvP environment. If you ever played some of the later CODs like Infinity War and things like that, it's with no double jump and fly about, movement, jump, running across walls, and it was like, I just felt it was really hard, and people like the skill gap in PvP will just be too much, I think, in Anthem for it to be balanced properly. I think they could actually maybe do some like environmental PvP, like Gambit's Destiny, like where you have to take down bosses, and then once you've collected stuff, and if you've collected their materials, and then if you do it quicker, then you'll be able to collect more materials, and then you'll be able to charge up this like teleportation port, and then you can like teleport maybe one guy in to like disrupt the team, like in Gambit. That would be pretty cool. So maybe like some environmental PvP would be pretty cool. But I don't think like a traditional team deathmatch would work on Anthem, especially with like balancing and things like that. Especially with how different each of all the mechs are. I don't really know how it would work. But overall, I enjoyed the game. There's definitely some promise there with Anthem. I am interested in seeing what different abilities the javelins can do, seeing what different combos you can do, because you can like fire off like grenades and magic, and then you can freeze them, and then like other people can then use their bolters, and then it gets like this, then you can burn them, and then it creates these combos. So I'm really interested to see where the game is going, but it does seem a bit suspicious that they're giving you this demo that's 6 months old. I'm not really sure how the final game's going to turn out. They're not giving you they're not going to be giving you a final build to review until the game comes out, so I'm a bit suspicious, especially with those pre-orders that you can get the game for cheaper in the UK. But overall, if you can get on the beta next weekend, the open beta next weekend, which basically like the demo, but everyone can play it next weekend, give it a go. You'll definitely be impressed by the mech suit and the flying about, feeling like Iron Man, and hopefully the Bioware storytelling will be there. They flesh it out. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you again in another video.